Good evening everyone and welcome back to the channel. You may notice that we're changing this up starting today. I've decided to include a should you pull recommendation at the end of every EX Plus analysis I do from now on, while continuing to do things the way I have been doing so far. Before I go on, I want to mention that in the video's description you can find a playlist of my previous characters analysis and a playlist of my tier list videos starting from January 2020. Today we're gonna be talking about Fran and Ashe from Final Fantasy XII, who are both getting their EX Plus tomorrow during Fran's Lost Chapter. I'll be starting off this analysis with Ashe and then move on to the featured character herself, which is Fran, and this event's prize in my opinion. I'm going to go over their strengths and weaknesses, as well as which artifacts you should be aiming for, and finally if they are worth investing and how much you should invest in them. In the end, I will be adding a new should you pull part for those indecisive people, giving you my recommendation if you should do so. Before we begin, I want to remind you that these are just my opinions and you should always do some research on your own before deciding on things, and hopefully this video will help you on that. So let's get this analysis started. For this analysis, I will be talking about a purple Ashe and a purple Fran, since that is the peak of their power, so try to keep that in mind. Ashe was never really in the spotlight throughout her lifespan in the game, being released at a level 50 era where Tidus and Lightning were dominating the meta, and as a buffer, Ashe was inferior to Aigo. Then during her Lost Chapter, she got her 35 CP during a period where characters were starting to get their EX weapons, so bad luck once again for Ashe. She finally got a much needed rework and a new EX Plus weapon during Fran's initial event, which made Ashe a potent magic DPS with strong party buffs, but it wasn't long before the level 70 awakening started coming around, so she fell off really fast. Tomorrow she's getting her EX Plus realization, and I would have liked to say that it fixes her problems, but sadly it does not, mainly because she's not getting a new rework on top of it. Both of her skills are still the same, her first skill having high potency but low hit count, and her second skill having low potency but a huge hit count, which just makes Ashe be all over the place. To make things worse, she doesn't imperil Holy or Thunder, which are the elements of her strong shaving skills. Thankfully, Ashe benefits perfectly from the new released Leo, since she has 0 AoE skills, and Leo makes every one of her skills count, and you really want that because she doesn't have many skill uses. Her HP++ is not helping with her longevity because it is just an average single target 2-hit Brave plus HP attack, which strangely enough is a melee attack, while the rest of Ashe's kit is magic. Ashe's strong points come in the form of her hard-hitting EX skill, which now has 50% splash damage and a guaranteed single target paralyze. She offers some good party aura, which also raises the party speed, something that isn't very common, while she can also inflict speed down on the enemy, which is important for chaos. Her buffs can cater to every type of DPS unit, since she can buff both magic and physical attack, along with her max brave buff, which can sometimes mess your party buff slots, since all of her buffs are generic. Recommended artifacts for Ashe are 330 max brave to compensate for her low max brave, and 108 attack with buffed attack 2 stars being a consolation prize. Now let's see if she's worth investing in or not. I know Final Fantasy XII has a huge fanbase, and there are a lot of people who believe that Ashe was the true protagonist instead of Van, so I'm certain that many of you will max out both Ashe and Fran for those reasons only. If Ashe is not a favorite character though, then stick with me. If I had to categorize her, I would say that Ashe is a single target magic damage dealer / offensive buffer, and if we think of her as a magic DPS, then there's absolutely no reason to invest in her. We have far more stronger magic DPS in the game right now, who also have AoE capabilities unlike Ashe. Her unique trait is that she can buff both magic attack and physical attack by 40%, but is that really worth it? Considering that most units can only utilize one of those buffs and not both, we can say that they are just a generic 40% attack buff, and we have other units who offer more attack either by buffing or with their aura. We have many strong characters coming by the end of the month, and using a book on Ashe is just enough for gathering ingots for those characters. Now let's see how much you should invest in Ashe if you decide to do so. Giving a book to Ashe tremendously increases the brave potency of the first part of her EX called Maelstrom Bolt, and allows it to deal 50% splash HP damage, while it also unlocks her HP plus attack. I think this is a good point to stop investing in Ashe. If you decide to go further and invest an ingot in her, it gives her the usual max brave and attack permanent boost, pretty basic. Investing 2 ingots extends the duration of all buffs granted by Ashe by 3 turns, while she has her EX buff on. Additionally, it allows Ashe to start the stage with that buff, and as a small bonus, her first skill will always be free, much like Onion Knight. Finally, if you decide to give 3 ingots to Ashe, it will tremendously increase the brave potency of the second part of her EX called Arc Blast, and allows it to deal 50% splash HP damage. Also, this allows Arc Blast to have 100% overflow, which at first glance seems strange, but you need to remember that Ashe as a unit has low max brave. Last and certainly least, it also unlocks her brave and HP plus attacks, which are just stronger versions of their plus variants. As a damage dealer, Ashe needs to be at 3 out of 3 to maximize her EX damage, but if you don't plan on using her regularly, then a book will do just fine, which will also award you with an ingot. And I believe we are done with Ashe, and it's time to move on to the prize of the banner, which is Fran. Fran, on her initial release, was one of the 35 CP legends of the Cosmos era, and she was famous in the Ober Omnia community as the first unit that was able to reach 99k overflow damage easily thanks to her weak kick plus. Tomorrow Fran returns with a level 70 awakening and a brand new EX weapon along with its realization. So let's see what that means for Fran. First of all, her initial problem of having low skill count is still there, even though her Bloom ability does help a bit with that issue since it can recover 3 uses of her whip kick skill. My other issue with Fran is that even though she does provide a lot of debuffs, the total potency on each of them is pretty average compared to other debuffers in the game. Fran is an amazing shaver with a slightly fast EX that hits like a truck. Her EX comes up after 1 skill and 1 HP plus attack, or sometimes just 1 skill if the rest of your team is faster than Fran. Speaking of Fran's debuffs, she has a unique debuff that goes up to 5 stacks, with each stack making the enemies weaker, and the final stack inflicting ranged imperil on your enemies, making Fran one of the 2 units in this game that can enable ranged teams. And her impeller is framed, which makes her better than Irvine for that role. She receives a new HP plus skill, which is a group 2-hit brave attack into a single target HP attack, which makes this a very nice filler skill for Fran, since she will always be hitting for weakness damage. Recommended artifacts for Fran are 108 attack followed by 330 max brave, with Viera Warrior boost 2 stars, being a nice consolation prize. Now let's see if she's worth investing in or not. Like I said earlier, Fran provides a ranged imperil which is very unique for this game, and you can think of her as an offensive and much stronger Irvine. Being able to boost your ranged unit's damage is really strong, but no matter how you see it, ranged imperil will always be inferior to elemental imperil, since it doesn't bypass ranged resistances like elemental imperils do. So in a sense, Fran is a win more unit. Ranged imperil is not something that you will need in order to beat any stage, but it's something that will help you finish it much faster if the enemies are not resistant to ranged attacks. Viera is one of the most famous Final Fantasy species, and Fran has a lot of fans that I'm sure will max her out and they will not regret it. But I think Fran is a luxury item right now due to how many strong units we have and how many more are coming in the very near future. So unless she's a favorite unit or your waifu, then spare your ingots for another unit. Now, in case you do decide to invest in Fran, let's see how much you should invest in her. Giving a book to Fran moderately increases her EX potency and allows it to inflict 3 stacks of her debuff to all enemies, which makes it a great option to keep her debuff up. It also grants Fran the Mist Perceiver buff for 6 turns, or extends it for 2 turns if it's already on her. Mist Perceiver is an aura buff that grants Max Brave to the team and lowers the speed of all enemies, much like Sephiroth's Genova buff. That's a great book upgrade, and this is where you should stop if you are not planning on using Fran on further Chaos stages. Moving on to the ingots, giving Fran 1 ingot gives her the usual permanent attack and Max Brave boost, which is becoming so stale at this point. Investing 2 ingots in Fran allows her to start the stage with both of her buffs active and also inflicts 2 stacks of her debuff on all enemies at the start of each wave, which is amazing since it saves Fran the need to use Whip Kick. To top it all off, this also slightly increases her EX recast speed, which is something we don't usually see in a realization, and it helps with Fran's damage output a lot. Finally, if you decide to take Fran all the way, it makes her EX executed twice, and it also unlocks her HP++ attack, both upgrades being much needed for Fran if you want to keep using her. So in conclusion, a book is enough for Fran if you want to use her in a Dimensions end stage, but 3 ingots are necessary in my opinion for getting the most value out of your Fran. After everything we've said about both Fran and Ashe, what do you think? Should you pull for either or both of them? Let me know in the comments below. What I would suggest is keeping the banner and save your resources, but I will personally do my usual 50 tickets on it in case I manage to lag sack either of them, since I don't have Ashe CX. No reason why you shouldn't increase your Dimensions end roster with a few book invested units after all. This month is packed with amazing units, and this banner is not one of them. If you are a new player, then don't even use tickets on this banner in my opinion. And that was it. I hope you stuck with me until the end and that you enjoyed watching or listening to this video. Personally, I am enjoying doing these videos more than just uploading my chaos runs, since nowadays almost every stage is just too easy with the units we have. I wanna hear what you guys think though. Don't forget to like the video and also consider subscribing if you like my content. I'm trying to work on a Discord server for this channel, so hopefully I'll get to talk with you all in Discord soon. Take care guys, stay inside your houses, and I'll see you in my next video tomorrow. See ya!